channel. Let's bring him in. Oh, hello, Brian. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Good afternoon. How was your day, Sean?
Well, I shorted NVIDIA into the close, and that did not work out very well as NVIDIA winds up almost 7%. Maybe we can even start by talking about that. What a great move as NVIDIA pulled back 16% over the last 3 days, and everyone was like, okay, here's the pullback. And then NVIDIA just goes full stop on that one, up 7%. You traded any NVIDIA today?
I did a little bit on the long side. I used the NVDL,
Yep.
but we had it come down to a lot of people were talking about the 20-day moving average, the simple moving average, or the 21 EMA.
Yep.
I've been talking about the anchor from this gap right here from the earnings report. And we kind of tagged that almost pretty perfectly yesterday. And this morning we opened on a slight gap higher. And then we got the classic, don't chase that gap, but wait for it to get back above the volume weighted average price right here. And we had, some nice movement to the upside. It wasn't smooth staying above the VWAP the entire day, but nonetheless, it's a good bounce. We'll see if it can amount to a little bit more. I've got my eye on the anchor from the all-time high, which was just a couple days ago, as we know,
Right.
and that declining 5-day moving average, which will potentially run into some resistance tomorrow around this 127 and 128. Either that or it just continues to ramp higher and take all those shorts and squeeze them pretty good.
Yeah, we definitely hope to get a little bit of a squeeze in NVIDIA. I mean, I like the trading opportunities every single day. Seems to be there. I do not want to forget to mention this. Who's over there, Ramin? Let's talk about this. First of all, maximum trading gains with anchored VWAP. I want to make sure that everybody understands who we have on right now. It's Brian Chinnan at Alpha Trends. Thank you so much. A lot of people on the floor learning a lot from this book. It's been passed around a lot. I could have a joke there, but I'm not going to say that right there. And look, we had Mr. Michael Noss on yesterday. I know he's a friend of yours. You like Mandera?
Gotta get out of
Too
that.
funny. All right, so we had him on yesterday, and I talked about, hey, what's up with the weakness in Bitcoin? But you know what he suggested? There's strength in other places, right? And I think that this is something that we had talked about, that me and you as well, and that was Ethereum. And I mean, trying to look at where potentially there was some more strength outside of BTC. It looks like right here, Ethereum, again, nice move up. We get some better talk from Gensler today on ETHE. Seems like everything's going smoothly. But again, looking to hold this $30 mark. I like this. I know I think you're out of ETHE and maybe just looking at the coins, but we still like it. I still like some of these dip buys in crypto.
Yesterday we came down perfectly to the year-to-date anchor in Bitcoin itself. That was about 59.5. I bought some there, small amount for a bounce.
Congratulations.
Sold half of it and still holding half of it. Ethereum has me a little bit concerned, actually, Sean, is that if yesterday was a shakeout, which I'm hoping it is, otherwise we've got the potential for supply right around in this area, about 34.50 on Ethereum itself. That's the anchor from the year-to-date high and where we spent the last 2.5 weeks trading sideways. So that kind of has the potential to, afford any upside for a little bit. I think they all need a little bit of time still to kind of just turn sideways, but nice bounce opportunity anyway.
Yeah, I mean, great trade by you, getting 59.50 there, 59.500 all the way back up. So nice little bounce today in crypto. Congratulations on that quick trade. All right, so remember, this is funny that it's Rivian, and because remember you and I a couple weeks ago or months ago, we talked about Rivian. It was like it was looking pretty sick, and I agreed with that as well. But you know what? We've been holding the 50-period moving average. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere today, we get this joint venture, and it's a joint venture here to create industry-leading vehicle software with Volkswagen. I don't know, but look at this in the after hours, Brian. Rivian right now up 45%. But the thing I want to remind everybody is, again, the short float, and I know you and I have talked about this again, 19% on that, 5 days to cover. This thing could have legs just because of that. Whenever these pieces of news come out of nowhere, often you'll get a little short covering, needless to say, but you just broke through the 200-period moving average. We're ticked up right into here. But look what we find, Brian, right back into what was support. Now I feel like it's going to turn into resistance. We haven't tested this yet. So I want to ask you this question. If you see the chart on the daily here for Rivian, this is the first time we've come back into this 15-16 area, which held. right? They miss on earnings. We haven't really gotten back up there. So any experience with kind of first-time tests like this? What are you thinking about Rivian? To me, I think we'll sell some of our long into this move up. But first area of test now, $15. What's it looking like to you?
I think it's a good idea to take some profit there, Sean. And if you drop an anchor on that high that we saw last July, you'll see we're right up against that as well. I guess you've got my screen up. So here we have the anchor off of that high from last year, and we're right up against it here in the after hours. As you mentioned, you know, the old adage, prior support tends to act as resistance. You've got to remember why. It's the psychology of supply and demand. A lot of people bought in here last year and early this year thinking, hey, we are at support. This is a good place to buy. And then we had that gap lower where all those people basically got trapped. And how do you feel down here? You just kind of feel, you know, a little bit burnt by the market. So you've been looking at this stock for the last 6 months in your account, just bleeding out, doing nothing for you. Meanwhile, the market's going higher. So there's a lot of price memory in this area, in other words. And I think a lot of the people who were purchased back in here are going to look at this and say, here's my opportunity to get break even. I've been reading about this company. They lose $33,000 per vehicle. Is one little partnership going to be able to, you know, turn this company around? Or am I better off, you know, raising some cash on this, you know, lucky little break and, you know, move into some more established uptrending stocks?
I mean, that's thanks for bringing that up. You heard me mention that they're still losing per car, so let's not get too carried away. We've seen some of these plays turn around before, and we're getting a lot. I think both you and I are getting a lot of credit here in the chat. A lot of people agree with us. Not a great area to start a position for sure up here. Give it a couple days. Let's see what winds up happening to that one. You're also getting a lot of love here. What's up to Ian? He wants to know about this TGTX. I mean, we keep talking about it. You've mentioned it a couple times here. And what a great couple days here, Brian, as TGTX going from $16 all the way through 19. We've noticed on your X feed as well. You've been talking a little bit about this. But there goes TGTX again, another one here. Any update maybe on this position or what you've been saying?
Sure. You know, it was a week ago today that I told you on here that I got back involved in it. You know, I've been kind of battling with it a little bit successfully, but I got back involved last Tuesday and added to it last Wednesday and made it, you know, my best trade of the year so far because I got some pretty large size on it. So I have scaled back a little bit simply because, you know, risk management, but I'd like the stock into probably at least the low 20s up to this high. We've got new short interest numbers coming out tomorrow for the stock. Now, in the last month, they had dropped it from 37 million to 33 million. So in other words, they covered 4 million shares. Unfortunately, the way that short interest is reported, we will only know the numbers as of the 14th of this month.
Right.
So we don't get to find out what they've been doing here, which common sense would tell us they're most likely covering and they're getting a little bit panicked. So you've got them in there, I think, that are the shorts that are to protect it a little bit. I'm holding some, and my plan is that I want to hold a core position. If we get a nice shakeout, I'd love to add back to this stock. They're coming out with numbers for their drug, and I've done a little bit of fundamental work here as well. That, along with the technicals and the short interest, I think this can still be quite a big winner. But I definitely wouldn't be buying up here.
Hi, Brian. Thank you so much for being here with us. I was wondering your thoughts here. We have a couple people in the chat, including Dan McIsaac, asking what you're thinking with CMG, Chipotle, with that split coming up tomorrow. Is there any levels you like on this? Is this one that you're interested in trading? Any thoughts as we get into what could be a pretty interesting split, 54 or 1 for 50 split?
Yeah, I mean, we've had such a big run in this stock. I mean, basically 50% since the beginning of the year. I'm a little bit hesitant to purchase it on this. Now, obviously, I was a little bit hesitant on NVIDIA, too. I kind of thought that the split would maybe mark a near-term peak. Instead, we saw the stock continue to rally here. It's in an uptrend, so it's innocent until proven guilty. I'm really looking forward to this one splitting because the average daily volume at this price is only 377,000 shares. So I think it's finally a tradable stock because we won't have, a $30 spread in a stock anymore. We'll have a much more reasonably priced. So I haven't traded in quite a while simply because the lack of liquidity and the high price. So I think it's a great split, but I'm basically going to say I'm not interested in it quite yet, Dara.
Thanks for that, Brian. I just want to show here Henry Chung giving you very, very kind words in our chat as well. He says, always been a fan of you, Brian. I successfully used the anchored VWAP to bet on NVIDIA dip yesterday. So there it is right there, works. I just actually want to talk to you a little bit about that because, again, being a fan of your work and, of course, continuously reading this thing, I feel like it's important that we understand what these indicators are exactly, right? When we're putting up anchored VWAPs, they're just areas of interest for us to look at and then to trade around that. And if we notice that maybe it's holding the anchor, that could give us a good idea of where there's potentially buyers and or sellers one way or the other. And then your terminology is the penalty box, right? They're in there until they're proven to be out. And, you got to do your time when you're in there. Give us a signal to prove that you're being ready to trade. And I think that there's obviously lots of wise words in books like this. But for me, that's a big one. And that is that you don't just always say, oh, my God, this stock is at anchored VWAP, therefore this. It gives you an idea of possible support and resistance. And then a trading plan from there needs to be developed.
Well said, Sean. And, I did not buy it yesterday based on it touching that anchor from the gap because I didn't have the confidence that it would hold. We had a good chance that it would, but but at the end of the day, it sold off pretty hard in closed week. So if you had purchased it late in the day yesterday, this was the last 30 minutes of the day.
Right.
And I think you were talking about shorting it. That was pretty ugly. Instead, I was looking at it saying, here's our level of interest. Now I switch to my rules of engagement the next day, which are if it gaps up, then I wait for the gap to settle down and then buy it as it gets back above the volume weighted average price. So there's all kinds of ways to do it depending on your risk tolerance. I personally don't want that overnight risk. It cost me a little bit extra because hindsight says that was perfect place to buy at the close. But, hindsight is not gonna help us going forward.
Yeah, and I think hindsight is perfect. And I think that's sort of one of the problems, especially as a day trader like myself that will make hundreds of trades in a day. You kind of can't say, oh, I wish I had done this, or looking back at it. But the thing about it is I have notes all over my desk, and I'm sure a lot of our traders do that too, trying to little slight reminders. And you know what? As soon as you said that, I was like, oh my God, Brian, when there's a gap, wait for VWAP. I was like, that was one thing that you had taught me that I definitely should have learned from that. All right, people want to ask right now in the chat, how was skiing? You were skiing, I think, a couple weeks ago when I asked you what you were up to. I think you said you headed to the mountains. Must be nice to be doing that. I did
a week ago tomorrow. It was the Juneteenth day.
Right. How was that?
I drove a long way up the mountain on a dirt road until I encountered snow.
Yep.
Then me and the dog got out and put my skins on, skinned up, did some hiking, had to take them off. I probably got about 600 to 800 feet of skiing downhill, but it was kind of fun. It was unique, so it was fun. It was a good hike, and it's more fun than walking down.
Hey, Brian, we have a new podcast called Freedom and Wealth Podcast, and that reminds me of just having that freedom, being able to look out there and just see everything and clearing your mind from your day-to-day stuff and being able to relax. Great opportunity to do that, especially on your day off. Hey, maybe you'll join us. You want to join us one day on the podcast? We do it weekly. Would love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Let me shoot me some details. Let me know.
I will for sure. It's one of the hottest podcasts on YouTube right now. So
I bet it is.
Yeah. It's really hot right now. We're really happy to do that. All right, TGTX was one trade. Is there anything else, maybe something unique that you're looking at that you might want to throw up here and discuss with our viewers before I let you go? Over 3,000 watching right now.
Pan W is starting to look interesting. Finally, I think we spoke about the cup and handle in there and some of these levels. So here's that cup and handle.
Right.
We have been trying to break the last couple of days. I didn't buy it yesterday because it gapped up, but I think tomorrow you get back above this afternoon's high, not the morning high, and you could see Pan W get going. CARG has been one that I traded previously. I think we spoke about That one's got my attention with a stop below the low of the last couple days. And Tesla, we've been talking about. I think Tesla is finally getting there. We spoke about how it's been battling with this year-to-date anchor in here. We saw the shakeout. Now we've got a rising 20 and 50-day moving average and perhaps a move up towards that 200 level and then the 200-day moving average. For a bounce in a primary downtrend, I think Tesla could be good here in the by the time we speak again next week, Sean.
Yeah, I'm loving some Tesla for sure. I love that Pan W looking to break out as well. Okay, Brian, thank you so much again for joining us here on the show. The content you provide is endless. I want to make sure that everybody makes sure that they catch you with Maximum Trading Gains with Anchored VWAP. He never asked me to promote it, but I'm going to do it every single time. Thank you, Brian. At Alpha Trends, they can go find you over there on X. Once again, have a great rest of your week, and I hope all the trades work out.
You too. Thank you, Sean.
Ciao, that's Brian Shan.